he actually had a lot of going on in his life when he came to me. It's just a matter of how to put it in perspective. And sometimes you need to reflect on yourself and put in good perspectives that the college is looking for. So this is August. Summer is almost ending. It's an exciting time. I hope you had a great summer. Summer should consist of volunteer work, pre-studies for the coming year's school work, and internships, research, something that is related to what you want to do in college. Those three things should go into your summer. And each year it should progressively accelerate. So the first summer after 9th grade, you may not know what you want to do. Try a little bit. Go to your summer camp, a 1-week program, 2 weeks programs. Second summer, it's the time to kind of finalize where you want to go. In the third summer, before senior year, that's a very, very important summer. You should be doing something very meaningful to bump up your chances for colleges. So how many of you here are 12th graders and 11th graders? 12th graders applying colleges, 11th graders doing next year? Okay. So I'll show you some important dates first. So August 1st already passed. UC applications already out. Okay, you could look at a dummy account if you like to. If you create a dummy account, use a email address that you would not use for your actual application because that will cause problems later. Common application for private school already opened. You can create a dummy account and look into it and see what's there. Cal State, Southern State, Southern Obispo will open October 1st. The biggest difference between Cal State application and UC application is Cal State application, as soon as it opens, you can submit it. So October 1st, you can create an account, you can submit already, and I hope you will do that as soon as possible. UC application submission period is November 1st. So you have 2 more months to work on it. And if you're doing early action, early decisions, it's going to be very early, October 15th to November 1st. For most private schools, deadline is January 1st, but you like to finish it before your Christmas break, because the last Christmas break you have with your parents, you want to enjoy instead of writing college essays. So, that being said, okay, August 1st, I can create an account, but I don't have to submit until October, November. That's not true, because most students will be applying to other colleges. This is one of the top most popular lists of colleges the student apply. UT Austin, particularly for engineering and business, you have to submit before December 1st. Application hasn't opened yet, I believe. It's open. Yes, you can already do that. And University of Washington is also popular. You have to submit by December 1st. University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, you can already start submitting next month if you want to go for honor program. So if you look at this, it's actually, if UC is due in November and everything else here is due in December, you have 4 or 5 schools that you need to be working together during the summer. So you're going to have a very busy summer. So that you need to keep in mind, particularly if you're a rising junior or senior. Now, I get all these questions as a counselor. Is this good for college? Is this activity good for college? Is that activity good for college? Which one should I do? How many hours should I volunteer? Is 30 hours good enough? Or should I do 50 hours? Or should I do 100 hours? Should I take AP tests? Was I taking AP classes? Can I just take AP music theory? Can I just take AP Chinese? Do I have to take classes? How many APs do I have to have? All these different elements and how can you put this in one puzzle, different pieces. It depends on the student. Each student's case is different. That's why we are here to sit down and discuss with you and find out the best puzzle pieces for you. Now, ultimately, when a student says, this is good for college, you're saying it because you want to increase the chances to get into good college, right? Now, why do you want to go to good college? Ultimately, what? You want to get a good job? Make money? What is the purpose? What do you want to do? You have to start from there. What is your goal? And come down and start thinking of short-term goals you need to achieve in order to get there. So, let's see. What is colleges looking at? There is a new thing that you see that has just been released. You see Berkeley, only Berkeley, this year. Now you can submit recommendation letters. Before, there was no recommendation letters, but this year, only UC Berkeley, which means maybe very soon UCLA would say that. Maybe very soon UC San Diego would say that. You have to be ready, because it's very difficult if you go to a big public school to obtain recommendation letters looking at the number of students who will be applying to UC Berkeley. And why are they saying it all of a sudden? Why do you need a recommendation letter? So they say clearly what should be emphasized in the recommendation letters should be your academic performance, your level learning, your leadership in school, family, meaning you are the oldest of the 5 children or you have little ones at home to take care of, persistence in the face of challenges, cross-cultural engagement. Cross-cultural engagement. Have you traveled outside? Have you participated in cultural exchange programs? Originality, creativity. Do you have good engineering ideas? Have you produced something? Demonstrated concerns for others. That's why community service is very important. Taking leadership is very important to show concerns for others. So they now think that, okay, so many students started talking about their community services, their leaderships. We need something more. Okay, we're gonna request recommendation letters this year. That's happening. On top of this, UC just passed a new rule that you have to take geometry, right? So that means geometry as a course. If you have somehow skipped geometry, you automatically disqualify to apply to UC. So it's perfectly okay to start 9th grade with geometry and go on geometry, algebra 2, pre-calculus, and end up calculus, right? 12th grade. What is important is those core classes that UCs require. In those core classes, you should get good grades. You should get good grades. Because right now, UC only looks at 10th and 11th grade, but with all these changes coming up, I wouldn't be surprised if they start saying, okay, we're gonna count 9th grade as well. So, what is UC looking at? This is a UC review focus. I extracted what I think would be important to you in addition to good grades and SAT scores. Likely contribution to the intellectual and cultural vitality of the campus. Demonstrated concerns for others and for the community. Achievement in academic enrichment programs. This means like Cosmos, academic connections, any other summer camps, any other college classes. And then it's not like how long you waited. Is it a 6 weeks program, 8 weeks program? There's not much difference between 6 and 8 weeks programs in terms of how colleges look at. It's just the intensity of it and what you have learned from it. And the last one, exemplary and sustained achievement in any field of intellectual or creative endeavor. So club activity is fine, music is fine, art is fine, as long as you have been doing it for a sustained period of time, instead of doing it for 1 year and switch to another thing. Those are very important, not only for UC Berkeley, for all UC campuses, but particularly for UC Berkeley. If you go to UC admission page, how each campus looks at the application form is clearly stated. This one particularly stands out. This one goes to all campuses. Okay, so that's about UC. And one more thing that is very, very important for UC, if you want to go to top UCs or the UC campuses of your choice, is qualifying for ELC, eligibility for local context. So UC uses transcript that your high school submit to determine that you are the top 50%. You are the top 50%. That only goes for this California resident. If you're an international student, you are not in this category of the students. But so they decide if you're the top 15% of your high school based on the transcript that your high school submit. So you're compared against the same group of students from your same class. And then based on these transcripts, when you apply to UC, when you submit the applications, they decide if you're the top 9%. And if you're in the top 9%, you automatically qualify for ELC, and over 90% of the students who qualify for ELC gets to go to the campus of their choice of the 9 campuses that UC gives. So if you want to go to UC Berkeley, most likely you get there. If you want to go to UCLA, most likely you will. So this is really, really a good, like having a ticket to go to good UC you want. That means you have to do very, very well in 10th grade and 11th grade. And here at ShareWorld, we have great teachers who can help you to bump up your GPA. So oftentimes students think that I have a great leadership experience, I have 1,000 hours volunteers, can it make up for my little bit low SAT scores and GPA scores? Yes, to a certain extent it can, but that is if you are falling between this threshold of average SATs and average GPAs. So it's always very important that you keep this good grades. Why do you have to do all these things and gain all these skills, get good grades and whatnot? At the end of the day, you have to write college essays, very significant, meaningful college essays. And what do you have to write? Well, art is either plagiarism or revolution. What is your art? Not necessarily art like art, drawing. What you consider art in your life. Answer about it. What makes you happy? Getting good grades? That's not good enough. You have to have something else to make you happy. Like helping children at the Sunday Friends really makes me happy because I feel like I'm contributing my hours to make their Sunday enjoyable one. Something like that. What excites you intellectually? Really? Not just taking AP classes. You have to I get intellectually very stimulated when I'm doing this research at the research center at UC, such as at UC Santa Barbara, right? Or and briefly describe a non-academic pursuit, non-academic, that best illustrates who you are and why is it important to you. Have you been doing any sports? Do you have any hobbies like hiking, cooking, anything? But it has to be non-academic. Right? Some people categorize engineers as geeks or nerds. Are you a geek, nerd, or neither? And why? If you think you're a geek, that's perfectly okay, but you have to explain that you're not geek. Many students say that they're not geek. Oftentimes I think they are. But you have to write either way. You have to convince the school why you're saying yes or no to this. So you have to be writing all these essays, all these activities you'll be doing is to find out who you are, not just put things on your resume. It's a way to find out who you are, what you're good at, what you enjoy doing, in what way you want to be a contributing member of the society ultimately. That's the important portion. And that's what college is looking at. It's not how many hours did you do volunteer, how many AP classes did you take. It's the overall package that you're presenting to college as a very potential individual who can make a contribution to that particular campus, both intellectually and culturally. So, good grades alone is not good enough. Good activity alone is not good enough. It has to come as a combination of the both. And here at ShareWorld, with our team of teachers and counselors, we help you to get there and to achieve your dreams. Now, UC is getting, yes, very, very much more competitive, particularly in engineering and sciences. And with all these new changes that UC is saying, for example, geometry, they said you have to have taken geometry class. You cannot skip it and go to the next level and say you can do geometry, right? Normally, I would expect them to say, okay, that's a new rule they said that should apply to students who will be applying 4 years later so that you can begin 9th grade with a good plan. But they don't do that. They said, well, that's a new rule and it applies to everybody as of now. So that's why I would like students to have a good combination of colleges, not just UCs and Cal State. A good number of private schools, a good number of out-of-state public schools, because they do give you money. So I like to talk about money a little bit. So, if you're a California resident, UC tuition is about $14,000. Then you have to pay room and board. then non-California students gonna pay this much, so you might as well go to private school. University of Washington is very popular, but it's out of state, so it's gonna cost $33,000. It's one of the most expensive public schools. And then Stanford is this much, gonna be this much. You'll be paying $60,000. MIT is slightly cheaper than Stanford tuition-wise. The Roman board, yes. But I guess at Stanford you can commute from home after first year. So, but how are you gonna pay it if it's gonna cost that much? There are need-blind schools, need-biased schools, and merit-based scholarships. So need-blind means when you apply, they don't care how much money you have, how much money you'll be able to pay. We just accept you and we talk about it later. Need-biased school is, well, we care. If you can't pay, and if your grade is not top on the top, if you're not the top 1% of your high school, maybe we'll put you in this pool, in a different pool. That's need-biased. Merit-based means you get it. You just get it because you're a good student and colleges want to give it to you. So you want to be in this category. To be in this category, you have to have 3.6 or above GPAs and then 2100 above on SAT. The current SAT, I would like you to have 31 and above on ACT. Then, in the tier 2 schools and below would probably give you something. Not necessarily for tier 1 schools. Okay. There are need-blind schools that will meet your necessity 100%. Means if you need money, they will match it for 100%. Amherst, Harvard, MIT, Princeton, Yale, Dartmouth are those type of schools. So if you think you cannot afford it, don't be afraid. Just apply. Be a good student and apply. Need-blind, well, 100% meant for US student only. Brown, Caltech, Columbia, Duke, Stanford. Essentially, all Ivy Leagues are very understanding about your money need if you're a good student and good candidate. There are need-blind schools that do not necessarily meet 100% of your need. So you can apply, but in case your parents' income do not qualify for FAFSA and you have to pay out of your pocket, they may not meet it 100%. Carnegie Mellon, Boston University, Cornell, NYU, Santa Clara are those type of schools. Okay. And how much money do you get? This is statistics. Over almost 60% of Harvard students get aid. So they are paying this much. Okay. So if you compare this with what you'll be paying for UC and the level of education you get and jobs after you graduate, there's a lot to consider. There's a lot to consider. That's why we need to sit down, review your profile, and decide how many schools and which schools you can apply with a good chance of getting money from them if you're going for out-of-state or private schools. So I would like you to consider pick one or two schools or action or decision. It's mentally good for you to have something already in December. Release some stress. And at least, besides UC, you should have 2 top schools. Don't be afraid. Apply to Harvard if you want. Apply to Stanford if you want. And then 3 target schools. You most likely get in, and you would like to get some money in 2 schools that would give you money for sure. That's a very good combination. That means though, you'll be writing lots of essays. So you should have drafted many essays before the end of August or possibly before school begins. And you'll be writing 20 to 30 different essays because each private school have more than 2 essays to write. So we need to make an Excel sheet and plan. What is the essay topic? What kind of content are you going to put in that? And then we'd like to finish everything before November 15th for November deadline schools and December deadline schools. January deadline schools we like to finish before December 10th so that you have enough time to study for your finals and enjoy your Christmas break because the first semester grade is very important for you for private schools. First semester grade is very important for you. If you get picked by UC for a augmented review that comes in January as a last screening process for your application. Then you have to turn in your first semester grade to UCs. So in order to go to the first semester of senior year with lots of APs, with no problem, no stress, you need to plan the summer very well. You need to plan the summer very well means you don't want to be taking SAT anymore. That means you have to plan earlier so that ACT will be finished before you end your 11th grade. So the plan goes, this is my goal. How are you going to make it happen? Okay? That's why we are here to help you. Okay? Any questions?